Awesome.
Just and seen.
Here we go.
We want this meeting to go fast. That could be gone.
Yeah. Yep.
Other jacket.
All right, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, we can do it.
And call to order the committee of the whole meeting for June 24th. Ellen, can you call the roll, please?
Raza, Lancy,
Here.
Beck, Malone,
Here.
Malay,
Here.
Solfa,
Here.
Wolf, Barron, Lehman, Lohman, here, Pieper,
Here.
Fehrenbach,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Vogelsinger. That's 8.
All right, we have 8 of 14. That's a quorum, so we can conduct business. Number 2 on the agenda, reminder to speak into the directly into the microphone. This is being recorded on BATV. Number 3, approve the minutes from June 10th, 2025, as presented. Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 4, items to be removed, added, or changed. I don't believe there are any. Does anyone see a need for any change? Seeing none, we'll follow through with the agenda as presented. Next item on the list is matters from the public for items not on the agenda. Anyone here to address council for that? Doesn't look like it. Looks like 6 council members and the only ones on vacation.
Yeah.
All right, the consent agenda, seeing that Abby's not here, and it's a nice short one, I'll take this. A on the consent agenda is ordinance 2025-036, declaring surplus property for transformers. And item B on the consent agenda, resolution 2025-089R, authorizing execution of contract with electric conduit construction. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Sorry.
It's the shortest consent agenda I've ever seen.
That's the way I like it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda passes unanimously. Next item on the list, moving right along here, is number 7, presentation, the 2024 Annual Comprehensive Financial Statement, ACFR, and associated documents by Brian Lefevre, partner at Sikich CPA LLC.
Next, I was going to share the document, but I'm just not exactly sure where the we need to share it for Robin.
Shannon.
Yes, Robin arrived.
Does record show, the minutes show that Robin has arrived at 7:04. Online.
Well, good evening, everyone. On behalf of Sikich, I'd like to thank the chair and the members of the council for inviting us to present the report resulting from the city's audit for your year ended December 31st, 2024. The annual comprehensive financial report contains 3 sections: introductory, financial, and statistical sections. What's required under Illinois compiled statutes for an audit of the city is all contained in the financial section. Those 2 additional sections, the introductory and statistical section, make it a comprehensive report. Within the introductory section of the report is an award that the city received for its 2023 report. And this comes from the Government Finance Officers Association, the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. The city's received this award for 17 consecutive years. And it's the highest level of financial reporting within the local government industry. You certainly should all be commended for this. There's less than 1% of governments in the country that prepare a comprehensive report and receive an unmodified opinion on their financial statements. And those are actually two of the requirements to receive this award. So obviously that puts you in an elite group. The financial section of the report is what contains the opinion on the financial statements, which is what you engaged us to do as the city's auditors. So in order for us to give an opinion on the financial statements, we're required to follow two sets of standards: the auditing standards that come from the American Institute for Certified Public Accountants, and those standards tell us the types of procedures we need to perform when we're conducting our audits. The second set of standards are the financial reporting standards. Those come from the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or GASB. So GASB sets the rules for financial statements for local governments such as the city. So you'll note at the bottom of the opinion on the first page, there's reference to a new GASB standard that was implemented. We're up to GASB Statement 101. I think when I started working for Sikich, we were probably about GASB 20, so a little bit of a standards overload. This year, the change was related to the liability for what GASB calls compensated absences, what you and I would know as like accrued sick time, vacation time, comp time. So how that liability is being reported was modified with the 2024 audit. So once we follow those two sets of standards, we can issue an opinion on the financial statements. We're pleased to present what's called an unmodified or clean audit opinion. And what that means is that the financial statements are prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, free of material misstatements. And this is the highest level of opinion that you can receive on your financial statements. In addition to that, with the city having 3 TIF districts, each of those TIFs is required to have a compliance audit done in accordance with Illinois compiled statutes, and that compliance opinion is part of an overall TIF reporting that's required to the state comptroller's office. And in those 3 separate TIF reports, we also issued unmodified opinions and had no exceptions in our testing and on the city's compliance with TIF laws and regulations of the state. There's an additional opinion in the report this year and the last couple of years, and this additional report relates to the federal government's requirement that any particular year that you expend more than $750,000 in federal grant awards, you're required to have a separate compliance audit called the federal single audit. There's also a separate report for the single audit. One of the opinions related to the single audit is here on the screen on page 5. This is the report on internal controls over financial reporting. We did not have any material weaknesses that we identified, which is basically the first part of this opinion. The second part of the opinion is that there were no non-compliance with laws and regulations that could have a material impact on your financial statements. So another unmodified or clean opinion there as well. The city did expend $10.5 million in federal funds during the year, of which two of those programs within that $10.5 million were tested as what are called major programs under that Single Audit Act. The ARPA funds of $2.6 million, and then the HUD program of $2 million, which was for the relocation of the Batavia food pantry. We had no question costs or findings related to those 2 major programs that we tested, and a clean opinion on the single audit report as well. That report is actually uploaded with what's called a data collection form to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. And upon the completion of this meeting, both that data acceptance form with the single audit is uploaded onto the Fed's website, and then the city's ACFR is posted to your website. The last document to bring to your attention this evening is the management's discussion and analysis. The management discussion and analysis is the executive summary of the report. It's required by GASB and written by the city. We review it to make sure it's consistent with the financial statements and with the GASB standard itself. It's an excellent document for if you have any constituents that have questions on or want to know more information about the finances of the city. It's a very good document to look at. This, along with the annual budget that's on the city's website, those two kind of work hand in hand. The management discussion analysis, the one place that you compare 23 with 24 and get to give your own explanations of the financial statements in layman's terms. Within the financial statements themselves, the city's general fund is in compliance with its fund balance policy. You have a 2 to 6 month fund balance policy, and you're a little bit above that at December 31st, 24. So that was good news. And then also there's a lot of additional, obviously it's a very large report. There's a lot of information related to the city's pension plans. So you participate in IMRF, police pension and fire pension. There's information in the report related to the city's contributions and then also the funded status of the plans. All of the plans are doing very well, and the city consistently year over year is contributing at or more than what their independent actuaries have required in terms of the contributions to the fund itself, or each of those funds. In conclusion, the audit went smoothly and on a timely basis. The city's staff are very professional and easy to work with. Peggy's the lead on the audit. It's worth noting that obviously her team works very hard. There's a lot of adjustments to the financial statements that go into getting ready for the audit, and there's a lot of documents that we request as part of the audit to gain that evidence to be able to issue our opinion. Significant accomplishment to have the comprehensive annual report, and also a significant accomplishment that we did not have any adjustments to the financial statements this year. You just really don't see that very much with audits that we work on. So just wanted to commend Peggy and all the city staff and the leadership of council. Those are the highlights I have for you this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the council? Well, I would just say I'm very proud to be in Batavia here. I've been on council. This will be my 9th audit that I'm seeing, and Peggy, your team has done a fantastic job every time. You know, it's very commendable, and to be in the top 1%, that says something. That is impressive. So thank you, Peggy. Appreciate that, and thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy working with the city.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on the agenda, item 8, resolution 2025-085R, authorizing execution of a professional services agreement with Meach Group for a study relating to TIF number 7. Anthony, you can take it away.
Good evening, council. I'll be the official handler for this item on behalf of Scott Muni. So before you today, we have resolution 2025-085, authorization execution of a professional service agreement with Meach Group for a study relating to TIF number 7. As part of this analysis of the downtown development, staff feels we need to consider reconfiguring some of the downtown TIF districts. As many of you may know, TIF number 1 will be expiring at the end of this year, 2025. And TIF 3 only has 14 years remaining. To consider future incentives for the downtown development, staff believes that it is worth considering creating a new TIF number 7. This would consist of a portion of TIF number 3 and possibly a portion of TIF number 1. The resolution would fund the study to determine the eligibility of the smaller area for such a TIF, but would not actually create the TIF itself until the third step in the process in the study, steps in the process. If the study shows that the area is eligible and the city council wishes to proceed with creating a new TIF, there is a formal process that is commenced to create the new TIF district. So tonight is not actually creating a TIF district. This is more or less approving us to go ahead with the study. In terms of the budget impact, the cost of the study would not exceed $34,630. Funds from this study, for the study, would come from TIF number 3. There will be a little bit of staff time needed for this process and throughout the process. So just a little bit, but we would get through that. Timeline for this action, we're looking to have this completed by the end of 2025. So tonight, staff recommends approval of Resolution 2025-085-R to authorize execution of a professional service agreement with Meach Group for a study relating to TIF number 7.
May I make a comment? I just wanted to add more information into this because the next 2 items also relate to us engaging Michio Group to do this study of this area. And it has to do with the opportunity for the city to purchase 2 properties which are currently on the market. There'll be an agency agreement, and then also through that agency agreement, there are also assignments of purchase and sale agreements that are in place. And as Anthony will further explain, that these 2 properties are contiguous to property owned by a local development organization. And so it would put a whole city block basically under the control of one developer and the city. That offers the opportunity for us to do a development that is consistent with our downtown plan that we just adopted last year. So potentially a great first step and catalyst project for us. And this TIF 7 would be being set up in a relatively small area to provide funding in order to do the infrastructure work and other things associated with that project if it should develop.
Quick question. So this study would go through end of this year. What is the timeline to get the TIF set up if we decide to move forward with that? Just curious what that timeline was.
About 6 months.
So
6 months to 9 months.
So study gets it through to the end of this year, and then we're 6 to 9 months to get the TIF set up after that.
Things can happen contiguously.
Okay.
So if the initial steps within the analysis seem to demonstrate that it meets the conditions for establishment of a TIF legally, then we could begin the process of notifications and meetings and public hearings necessary to get to that final step of City Council approving the ordinances that establish the TIF. In whole, the process we expect to be about 9 months.
Okay, thanks.
Chris?
And what is just the general area that that TIF number 7 would encompass? I know it says part of TIF number 3, but if you could give more of a specific, I know you won't have it exactly, but the general area.
Yeah, so great question, but that would be a portion of pretty much removing residential properties out of the TIF 3 area, because with the TIF 3, there's a lot of residential properties that don't necessarily benefit from that. So we would more or less capture more of the sales aspect of those businesses in that area and eliminate the buffer of the residential properties.
Basically, we would end that portion of TIF 3 early that is on the east side of the river. And so we would keep the portion of TIF 3 that is on the west side of the river, but north of the development area that would encompass TIF 7.
So TIF 3, that's got 14 years left, correct? What are some projects that have happened in there within that within?
TIF 3 was established around the same time that the Walgreens project.
Okay.
So that would be.
Okay.
And to have a Walgreens still in the heart of a downtown of our type was really a home run.
Yeah. So my point is that, you know, TIF 3 was successful. There's 14 years left. That's not a whole lot of time to accomplish another thing. So
Right.
I think it makes sense to go with a new TIF to create that time to be a more effective TIF in doing what we're looking to accomplish through our strategic downtown plan. Kevin?
Yeah, and so if I'm understanding this correctly, kind of east side, we're going to have some properties, which will be going back to other taxing bodies. Park district, school district will gain some tax revenue out of this, right? And we can be a little more focused with what was TIF 3 that would maybe become TIF 7 in kind of being more focused on the west side and getting some properties. It feels to me like a win-win. We kind of get a nice little region that we can, you know, use TIF money to improve. The other taxing bodies kind of get a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a windfall necessarily, but kind of get some of their tax funds back 14 years early. It's great I think we should definitely move forward with this study and seems exciting to me.
We've
I appreciate
estimated
that.
that it will represent $317,000 at this point, the increment that will be going back to those taxing bodies.
300-some thousand, you said?
Not insignificant.
It is, yeah.
And what's great about the TIF 7 creation is going to give an opportunity for us to focus more on an incentive program that focuses on development. And I know a lot of us have talked a lot about looking for developments for our, downtown, but also overall Batavia. And this would certainly help incentivize developments and bring a clearer focus to our town so that we can continue to build it and have it be successful. So that will be one of the major benefits to having TIF 7 created.
Any other questions? Yeah, Mayor.
I just want to offer a couple of observations here. As all of you know, I serve as chairman of the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning's Council of Mayors downtown. And I recently had the opportunity, a couple of the planners from CMAP came out to Batavia, and I kind of toured them around a little bit. And they concluded our little visit by making a notation that they thought that Batavia, of all the suburban communities, had some of the strongest redevelopment potentials of any city in the Chicagoland area. And there's a lot of nice amenities going along with this. Obvious ones we're fairly near a full interchange on the highway down at 90 or 88. But we also have an extremely low crime rate in comparison to a lot of other cities. We have a fire department that's an ISO class 1, which is the highest and best rating any fire department can have. And then we are in with good proximity of all kinds of medical treatment facilities. And so they suggested that downtown Batavia could be a great place for mixed use, where maybe some of it would be commercial and maybe a lot of it could be multiple family, upscale residential facilities where you would service commuters or senior citizens or people who had some money to do stuff with. And they indicated that they thought of all the cities out here, we're one of the strongest, and we have the opportunity if we want to make the move. And they said, the real brightness in the whole community here is the presence of the Fox River and how it's being maintained in a very positive nature, and the bike trail by it and on both banks of the river. There was just a number of positive things that they said, and they used the word that our development staff here in the city has kind of set the stage for some really nice things to happen. And we would be foolish not to try to take advantage of these at this time and place when there is interest in people wanting to move to a place like Batavia, Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other questions, comments from the council? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to send a positive recommendation to the City Council of Resolution 2025-085R, authorizing execution of a professional services agreement with the Meach Group for a study relating to TIF number 7.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's unanimously approved to send to council.
I want to talk about that one.
Okay, moving on to item 9 on the agenda, Resolution 2025-088R, agency agreement approved.
I'll take this item as well, Alderman Millay. As Laura mentioned earlier, just going to be kind of a recap in a little bit more detail as to what we're trying to do here with this particular resolution. This memorandum is to formally document the assignment of interest in a real estate purchase agreement between Batavia Enterprise Real Estate, BEI Commercial Real Estate, or we're going to refer that to BERE throughout the document as you've seen, and the City of Batavia, which entered into an agency agreement dated June 2025. BERE negotiated a purchase and sale agreement for the acquisition of both 102 parcel dated April 18, 2025, as well as 108 parcel dated May 21st, 2025. The City of Batavia intends to accept the assignment of the 102 parcel contract as well as the 108 contract, which is collectively known as the Batavia Avenue contracts from Batavia Enterprises. Furthermore, Batavia Enterprises desires to assign the Batavia Avenue contracts to the City of Batavia. BERE and Batavia Enterprises will assign all rights, title, and interest and to Batavia Avenue contracts as purchaser to the City of Batavia, Illinois. Therefore, having control of this block would allow for the city and developer to begin work on this project. BEI owns the remainder of the property on that block, which would allow the city and the developer to commence working together on a multi-use project. Per the recommendation, staff is recommending that the City Council approve Resolution 25-088-R, accepting the assignment of the real estate contract interest agreement. In addition, we are also recommending that City Council approve Resolution 25-090-R, accepting the assignment of the real estate contract interest agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Any questions or further discussion?
And Alderman Millay, I also want to make mention that we do have Austin
Yes.
here if he needs to answer any questions as well.
Exactly. Questions, any comments? Austin, would you like to? Good. All right, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to send to council with positive recommendation. We'll do these separately. First, Resolution 2025-088R, agency agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. There she is. Yeah. Unanimous approval to send for positive recommendation to the City Council. And that will be on regular agenda again. And next round is item 10, Resolution 2025-090R, accepting the assignment of real estate contract interest agreement.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, another unanimous vote for positive recommendation to City Council.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony.
Awesome. Thank you, Council. You all have a great evening.
You too. Moving on then to resolution number 11, Resolution 2025-084, authorizing execution of contract with M3 Electrical Contracting for EV charging station installation. Take it you've got this one, Steve.
Yes, I do. Good evening, everyone. And as the resolution title indicates, this is the city received a grant from the state of Illinois through the IEPA to install some level 3 vehicle chargers. So we had partnered with the Batavia High School, and so on the south side of the parking lot there, directly across from the fire station, Don't know why I said train station. Probably been watching Yellowstone too much. But anyway, this is a happy project. So we have been partnered with the schools on that, and so that's going to be an installation location. And the other location is going to be here at the parking lot just south of our booster station on Shumway Road, or on Shumway. So we did solicit some bids. The bids came in pretty strong compared to our $570,000 budget. We had bids approaching almost $1 million. That is just what these level 3 chargers are going for in the sort of the capacity that we asked for. The grant required a minimum of 50 kilowatt charging rate, but a lot of people submitted a 350 kilowatt charging rate, which is the upper end of what charging is capable of these days. So fortunately, the successful bidder, M3 Electrical Contractors, they submitted a 240 kilowatt, so someone should be able to charge their car in roughly 20 or 30 minutes. And we can set those charging rates, and we can limit how fast they charge, anything of that nature. So I think it's going to be a really nice project to have these available for those folks. We see a lot of EVs driving around town, so we'll be able to charge up and come down and enjoy our downtown, and or if they're at a football event or something like that, they'll be able to, or any event that they have at the high school there, they'll be able to charge there as well. So, but these chargers will be owned and maintained by the city. The contractor will be providing routine maintenance for a 5-year period, which is also a requirement of the grant. There will be a credit card point of sale system, but also an app and a little bit of like an LCD screen on the side of them. So if you have your board packets open, if you scroll all the way to the end there, Max and I actually visited a few of these installations up in the Elgin area, and they look mighty, but that is just what is required for the electronics to change that much AC into DC to shove it into an electric vehicle. So we were pretty impressed with the installations. They were very clean. They were very well done. The vendor's been very responsive to any questions that we had. So we'd like to bring this to you with a positive request for approval, and send that on to council with a positive recommendation.
You have some questions?
Please.
Go ahead, Jim.
So in our household, we have 2 EVs, so for years, by the way. And one thing that is going on in the industry is we have really, it's standardizing on a go-forward charging standard. So I'm sure at one point with gasoline cars, there was a point where people had different types of pumps, right, different pipe sizes and everything. EVs are going through the same process now. Our proposal is using the combined charging system standard, CCS1, which is basically the one that's being phased out. Okay, it's the bigger one. I think we've all seen them. If we look at Hyundai, the Hyundais, the Rivians, the Fords, the GMs, prior to 2025 or 2026 going forward, they were on CCS1. Then Tesla was on the other standard, the North American charging standard. And the industry is now standardizing on the North American charging standard. Okay, so for that one, Hyundai is making cars now on the North American charging standard. Tesla always has been. Rivian will be in 2025. Ford will be in late 2025, and then GM in 2026. So that's the go forward. I'm not trying to throw a monkey wrench in this, just is what it is. And it looks like we've bid it out for CCS1. So we have a question to go back to the vendor saying, hey, can you move this to NACS, or how would you handle that?
It is a cable change, so it is that simple, but there are still plenty of CCS1 chargers still out there, and they're also all adapters made. So I do think that if it came to the point where we're seeing a lot of negative feedback, on the app or whatever, that comes back that just says, hey, we really need a different plug on the end of this thing, we can work with the vendor to change that.
So it's not just a different plug though, right?
No, I do understand the technology behind it. So
Yeah.
Max, I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
The state grant requires CCS.
That's weird.
It's in the grant agreement that we've signed. It requires CCS. There is no budging on that.
Yeah, thanks, Max. You have the grant a lot more forward.
Yeah.
That could do it. I do appreciate the discussion on the technology, though.
Yeah.
Dustin? Yes, sir.
I have a feeling there'll be a similar answer for my question. So the great thing about level 3 chargers from a city perspective is that people, when they're charging, they're kind of meant to be replacements for gas stations in a way and how you use them. But you have like a 20, 30-minute wait, which in our downtown is a great thing because that means people are likely to use our local businesses. For the school, though, there's not really anything too close to there within walking distance. You can maybe get to mocha coffee after 10 minutes of a walk. But there, I wanted to ask, is there any reason we didn't consider level 2 chargers, which are a fair bit cheaper, but might make more sense for like a school situation where people are going to be parked usually for several hours and can thus just use that full time to charge their vehicles, and we could have gotten a lot more of them for the same price.
I defer to the Grant Master Max.
We would have gotten
The Grant Master Max, excuse me.
we would have gotten significantly less grant money for level 2 chargers. So the part of we got of this funding, 320,000 of it is level 3. And so we were able to get significantly more funding, but also a significantly higher priority for funding because we were choosing to put in level 3 chargers. In addition, we looked at some locations. There was a very specific area we had to put the one by the high school in order to qualify under, I think it was like an environmental justice program. And so we had a very limited area we could put it in, and we really didn't want to deal with kind of private property issues. Right. So that was in the district, so like right across the street, the fire station, not acceptable to put them there. So some of these things come from the grant requirements, such as the charging type and the locations as well.
On the grant front, does that cover support as well? Oh, I'm sorry. So for the grant that we have, how does that deal with support over the long term? Is that?
Yeah, so the M3 Construction who does the installation, they also maintain the charger. So this is what they do. They've got about 40 installations in the Chicagoland area. Max and I went to the closest 2, and yeah, so they are constantly out doing routine maintenance. They're checking the filters. They are monitoring these over the cell system, so they're alerted to any failures, any type of, because that's another requirement of the grant is that any break fix alerts have to be responded to within a very short period of time to make sure that their uptime is very good. So,
Yeah, do you, just curious, I mean, it always scares me to see in a low bid scenario, something, the delta be that big. Is it just because they do a ton of these guys can economies of scale and?
basically what they did is in order to get more in line with the budget, which was public, they selected a lower powered charger. So instead of a 350 kilowatt charger, they selected a 240 kilowatt charger.
Okay.
And the grant required a minimum of 50, but we were trying to get the most, the larger size, which again, as Max alluded to, that's why we got such a large grant.
Okay, that makes sense.
Since we were shooting for, higher charger powers.
Let the record reflect that Alderperson Lehman has arrived at 7:35. Jim.
Last question on this. So at a later date, let's fast forward 10 years, right? And everyone's fully on NACS. It really is just a cable switch or M3.
It is just a cable switch. Yeah, they're liquid cooled cables, and it's just a couple of quick connect fittings, and it's just a matter of changing the cable out. Yep.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Following mine, do these only support level 3 charging, or can they do level 2 charging?
They only support level 3.
Okay.
We do have a level 2 port right outside at City Hall as well for those available.
Any other?
I like free money to pay for it, so take what we take, get what you get, don't throw a fit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and the advantages of it, cleaner energy use, using more of our electricity, so we have less to return or sell back.
And just in case you asked, when we applied for the grant, we felt pretty confident. I already ordered the transformers. They'll be here in a week. So, since that's a huge issue these days. Yeah.
I can imagine. Thank you. Okay, seeing no further discussion or questions, I entertain a motion to send to council with positive recommendation. Ordinance 2025-084. Authorizing execution of contract with M3 Electrical Contracting for EV charging station installation.
So moved.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, thanks on that one, Steve, and I think you're probably going to be here for the next.
Yes, I am for the next, and Alderman Millay, if we could sort of, 11 and 12 sort of work together. The the generation, the net billing policy has to be done by a resolution, but the code change has to be done by an ordinance. So that's why it's really the same thing. It's just modifying the language in both places. So the memos are virtually identical, and then the nuts and bolts of the changes are being made there. But as most people in this room have known, we did have a limitation on the size of the solar systems that could be installed. We had a 20 kilowatt limit on residential, and we had also a small commercial limit, which is a customer that did not have electrical demand as a part of their rate just based on their usage. So if you use a certain amount of kilowatt hours per month, you get kicked into a demand rate. Those customers that had a demand were ineligible to put a solar system on there. So Rahat and I did a lot of research, and we've been talking with our peers and also monitoring the energy legislation that's going through the state right now. And basically, just to get in front of the trend, or in front of law, we decided to go ahead and rewrite the language to allow any customer in the city of Batavia within some technical fence posts, to install a solar on that. So we had been approached directly by a few businesses in town, and they had, of course, reached out to some of you. And I don't want to pick on them, but we heard their concerns, we addressed their concerns, and so now we bring this language changes before you to essentially allow solar open up to anybody, again, with the technical limitations of just designed to offset their use. What we don't want is someone to put a solar panel up on their, if they had a massive roof space, that would overgenerate and overproduce, and that would become a financial liability since other people would be paying for them to generate excessively. So we're just, if they want to offset their use, that's fine. We have no problem with that. But we just don't want them to become a bunch of independent power producers, just because that causes a lot of technical issues.
Any questions or comments from the council? Jim?
Thanks for the quick turnaround. Abby, Alderman Beck isn't here. We met with one of the churches in town who they wanted desperately really to get solar panel installation in place. It's just so happened because of their current status of what their building type was, they couldn't get it installed. So this change will allow them to get that change in place. They've been following this closely, so thank you for all that. And then for those who are, just to tie the two together, so if we look at a standard mid-size EV, it's got a 75 kilowatt battery. And if we look at what we're saying here, the residential solar, 20 kilowatts, so very comparable, right? So we're getting there.
Yeah, and you're really limited by roof space, so there are very few residential roofs in town that could support a 20 kilowatt system, but that's okay. That's very in line with what our peers are doing in the municipal world, so.
Others? I would comment on this that I remember back in March of 22 when we were having the discussion, and there was concern. I believe it was one of our large users was wanting to really expand solar, was part of their business plan, which was a little concerning to us seeing the situation that we're in. I think the landscape has changed a little bit with that, with legislation that's come out and is coming out. And the cost increases that we're going to be seeing, which a little further on the agenda here. Yeah. Yes. But I fully support it. I think, the city of energy, we should be moving forward and being more responsible for renewable energies. And I fully support these two resolutions, or the resolution and the ordinance. Anyone else? Anyone from the audience like to address? Yes, Mark.
Hi, good evening. I'm Mark Weiss, and this is David Hummel. We're representing the Congregational Church of Batavia at 21 South Batavia Avenue, directly west of the Batavia Public Library. I believe we're the institution that Jim was referring to. We had more remarks, but I don't think I'll belabor the point. We had been planning this installation for some time, and we had some misunderstandings, and we've been really grateful for the support of the staff and aldermen to work through some of those and for where we are tonight. So I think I just conclude by simply saying that we hope this resolution passes, and we're grateful for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And full disclosure, I'm a member of the Congregational Church, so I will not be voting on this. But my hope is that. Okay. It's not specifically, it's to all, all commercial and expansion of residential. So.
Yeah, it is getting to recuse yourself from this since it's a very prolific issue. I know there's
All of
folks
us would have to.
on the council that have systems and all. Yeah, so it's tough, but yeah, hopefully there's enough of a quorum to get it going.
Full disclosure anyway.
No problem.
Okay, so, and seeing no further discussion, we are, I would entertain a motion to send to council with positive recommendation. Ordinance 2025-035, amending Title 8, Chapter 1 of the City Code related to renewable generation facilities.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Moving right along to number 13, Resolution 2025-091R, amending customer self-generation net billing policy. Entertain a motion to send it for positive recommendation.
So moved.
Second. We have motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Steve. And moving on to number 14, discussion, Peace Bridge Plaza and public restrooms design concepts.
Oh. Alrighty. So about 2 months ago, you all approved a contract with Upland Design Group, who's a landscape architect firm, to help us kind of design a concept for the public restrooms area. Originally, we could have done something like this in-house, but we're not landscape architects, and that's not something that really creating a space is something that we chose to go outside for. So you approved this contract, and working with them so far, it's been very, very easy, and I'm excited about what they've put together so far. So basically, this is what we got on River Street. We're trying to think about some of the existing design concepts. We've got the brick, the wood, what we're building here with some of the steel as well. So really taking into account what the current area looks like in terms of building out the plaza. So for reference, this is currently where the tin shop is. You approved demolition of that building. We should be getting those bids, or we got bids back on that rather recently, and so that'll be something that probably coming your way soon, as well as where the Main Street shed is, and then the 3-bay garage as well. So we got two concepts before you, Concept A, Concept B. Generally speaking, Concept A is kind of more in line with what we've got there right now with the brick and the wood and the metal. Concept B you're going to see is a little bit different. Both have their positive and negatives, but I just kind of want to get some broad feedback from you all for really two reasons. One, so we can jump into design of one of them more in depth, and then two, so we can get the bathrooms ordered. Those have about a 4-month lead time, and so both designs kind of come with different material choices. So generally knowing which direction you want to take us in, we can get that order placed, avoid any future tariff charges there in Canada, and so we'll go from there. So Concept A, as our architects described it, become drawn to the warm and welcoming plaza that replicates the nearby streetscape through warm tones of wood, concrete, and metal. Lighting accentuates the warm ambiance, casting shadows on the artful design. To that point of art, one of the things we've already done is met with the Batavia Public Art Initiative. We're going to try to see where we can have them do some of the work on this. For example, like the metal fence. We have a number of really good metal sculpture people, sculptors in town, as well as local artists. So to the extent we're able to, we're going to try to use local artists on this project. So generally speaking, to orient yourselves again, this is River Street, this is where the property line is, and then this is basically where the tin shop is right now. The idea is we'll have some screening along here with that metal fence to kind of make it self-contained to an extent, and then along the sides here with some ornamental trellises. We would use, this area would contain seating and some bench tables. This would replace the bike racks that are currently where the bridge or the ramp would go. Some planters, seating here, here, and here. Some little artwork back here. Rotary takes care of native pollinator gardens. Laura's on Rotary and offered to kind of chip in on that. Then we got the restrooms in back, but the seating area as well. And then some trees, so like where you see this big thing, that's a tree cover, roughly speaking. And so this obviously carries through the same brick that we have. We would be proposing to light this area with some catenary lighting, trying to kind of keep it lit, but not too bright at night to kind of keep those shadows as well. So that's concept A. This is what the bathrooms would look like. It's this dark walnut color that this is an actual example of one in a community. The other one we'll look at has a bit of a lighter color scheme based on the design of the concept, but we would go with this dark walnut, corrugated metal black sides, and some stone base here. We would use the same matching pavers that we've already got on River Street. We would have a few round concrete benches kind of in this area up here. I think one of them will be a concrete table as well to try to provide some of the seating that we know is missing on River Street. And then kind of a centerpiece with some seating there as well. Like I said, kind of providing some screening along the sides of the property, so it's sort of a self-contained property. We're proposing on the south and east sides to use ornamental trellis walls that would be roughly 8 foot tall, and they would grow with plants and vines and whatnot. And then on the north side, using some sort of punched metal steel product. Kind of what we're looking for in terms of catenary lighting. It would start kind of at this corner where all the utilities come in, so we're trying to minimize utility runs, and then kind of crisscross across the property. Pollinator gardens, 3 of them kind of by the seating areas. We're going to try to do some sort of artistic seating area. We got a few ideas of what they could look like, what models were used, but trying to incorporate some elevated features in there as well. Our architects found this really cool tree that I like. I got to find out the exact name, but it's this red paper birch is what I'll call it for now. But it's this red color, kind of peels off throughout the year and kind of matches with everything else. Same planters we use elsewhere on River Street and some native pollinators. This is another example of where we'll use some local artists to try to kind of create. The idea back here is like you've got the lighting and a sculpture area and trying, like, it's a nice backdrop for a photo and whatnot. So that's concept A. I'll jump right into concept B and then we can talk about it separately. Concept B, to put it simply, is a little more modern feeling. Kind of flows with the river a little more, flows into this plaza by following the concrete mosaic river, leading you through the elements of the site from organically shaped raised planters and benches, vegetated curved screen walls, all the way to the illuminated misting sculpture to cool off near the river. So this is concept B to an extent. It's obviously a little more colorful. It uses similar features, the trellis wall, concrete planters, has this kind of meandering path through the area. One sort of interactive feature they considered was a misting sculpture in this area with some seating around it, additional planter areas, similar features as well. Restroom kind of located in the back of the property. But kind of focusing more on the river concept.
Next, can you describe how they accomplish the color on the ground?
That'll be in the next slide. Okay. But so for the material choice of that bathroom, it would be more of a beechwood type color. We couldn't find an example of it, but think similar to what we saw, but just in a lighter color. And then in terms of how they would do it, there's a couple of ways we can choose. We can do glass tile pavers, we can do color tile, they could do colored concrete, and then there's also exposed aggregate and colored concrete, where you use colored rocks and material in there. They kind of pressure wash it away, and it creates a visible kind of texture on the pattern as well. And those can be whatever colors you want for there. This would use sort of, you see a lot more flowing features in this one, sort of rounded benches, rounded seating, trying to keep that flow continued as well. We would be using some concrete benches, but putting some wood slats on them, trying to keep that like light birch wood feeling going as well. Similar things with the trellis walls back here and then along the sides. Shade trees, plantings. There's this idea of an illuminated misting sculpture. something that could be put there as terms of an interactive feature to consider. And then concept A and concept B. Thoughts?
Okay, questions, Jim?
Yeah, so first off, we want to do a warn if. I've been to the Netherlands. These would be open air restrooms. We're not going to do that, thank God. But for concept B, it's a little much, I think, given that, that is a restroom area. More importantly, I know the area right out there, that's supposed to be a windmill on the cement right there. Meaning right outside this room, right in the plaza right there. I don't think that's going to age well with the colored tile and everything. If you look out in the plaza right there, the only reason why I know it's supposed to be a windmill is because Bill McGrath pointed it out to me, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't know how well that's going to age with the coloring in there. And more importantly, I think Concept A looks great. I don't know.
Yeah, great work on both of them. It's exciting to see what that space could be. I sort of think of it as I love River Street. It's where I go when I want to recreate in Batavia. And of course, on a 400-degree day, a mister sounds great. I also go down there in the fall, though, right? I sort of think that with Concept B, it would be really great on hot summer days, but I sort of wonder, is it useful year-round? Whereas I feel like Concept A, I could still utilize that in early fall, early spring, when maybe I don't want to get wet, but I do want to go hang out down on River Street. So for me, the Concept A feels a little more all year round. I also, frequenting trivia on River Street, which is about my favorite thing to do in the world. I know that when the sun starts to set, the shadows that come down River Street, it's just really pleasant. It's a really nice place to be with the shadows coming down, the string lights, cafe lights turn on. So this is really speaking my language for Concept A there. I suppose this is a little bit too early, but I see water running constantly, and I think of my water meter spinning constantly. Does one concept come with sort of a higher maintenance cost than another, or are this a little too early to tell?
I would say it's a little too early. Those are things that we've started to talk about, what type of materials, whether it's, we have a preference, or, in our staff when we're talking about it, we would love to see like composite wood materials, things that lower the maintenance and kind of last longer and are easy to take care of. I anticipate it's, the maintenance of either, you've got the brick pavers, which carry a level of maintenance versus concrete. Concrete's going to be less maintenance than brick pavers. Water sculpture versus, there's trade-offs. Those are things we'll look into as we kind of enter into the full design process.
Yeah, thank you for bringing these to us. I really like Concept A, and I really like because it just carries on what River Street already is. I think Concept B is really lovely in its own way, but to me, it almost feels like you're at a Disney park and you're going from one world to the next. Like you're walking down River Street and then you enter into a whole different world. So I would just love to see like the continuation of that area and sticking with a similar vibe.
Yes, Lucy,
I had a
or
question.
Alice, sorry.
I saw you point at me. I had a question about shade. I think it's like implied with the plantings, right? But I just wanted to ask for both concepts, are we going to have awnings or are we relying on trees for the shade?
I would understand that we're primarily relying on trees. So I believe like this is the cover of the tree canopy, and then there's trees here as well. So the idea is to kind of use trees as a natural shade area. But yeah, those are things we can definitely look at as well because, a lot of brick can get rather hot during the summer. And then Robin also has her hand raised.
Just on the
Yeah, I'll
tree.
just.
Go ahead, Robin. I'm sorry.
Robin, I didn't see you, sorry.
Okay, I'll just chime in. I'm kind of with everybody else. I think both of these are really interesting and really nice designs. But I do believe that Concept A gives us quite a bit more of a cohesive aesthetic with what's going on in River Street right now. So that would be the one that I think would be the best choice.
On the tree item, I sort of love the idea of a central tree. from A, and it would be really cool, just to throw the idea out there, if it were more of a slow growth tree. I know that we oftentimes prioritize faster growth, so we get that shade canopy more quickly, but an oak, which might take 60 years to really grow out, would be kind of a cool thing to have to show the longevity and the durability of that site, if we plan to keep it for a while. So
That's something we can look into. I know that some of the tree choices are made to prevent kind of roots going up and causing disruptions as well, but that's something we can consider. I like that idea.
I think that's one of the ideas about putting a birch there, is that a birch is both small, slow grower.
I want to take away Max's red birch tree.
The good news is we can have lots of design discussions around landscaping and all of that. Like I said, you giving us direction today allows us to go back and do a full design. Exactly. Because if you like concept B, well, then we did all the work on concept A, and
Just a minor thought. Given that sign on the tin shop caused so much reflection and so much discussion in this room and so much angst or pleasure, depending on your viewpoint, would it be possible to get that sign like as part of concept A, whether it be like off to the side or something, just saying, hey, this was here?
It's a little early to say what can be salvaged. So, I mean, we are looking to the extent possible to try to reuse some of those materials in here. We won't know until we actually get into the tin shop and do some of that stuff, know what is actually salvageable. But those are kind of the artwork and design considerations that we can take into account over the next couple months.
Put the note.
Chris?
I think there's an agreement. Everybody likes concept A, so there's our recommendation, and I think that we can kind of move on now.
Yeah, I would agree. A does seem to fit in better. So I think hearing no differing opinion from that,
Loud and
Chris,
clear.
I think the direction is
Solid directions.
go for A.
They lost me with the ground because all that, I always see those things fade.
Oh, yeah,
Concept B.
yeah.
I love your.
They look great at first,
It's a
and
whole
then
new
they
world.
fade.
That was a good analogy by all of you.
And if I could just mention about the bathroom itself, because there may be people who hear this meeting and really haven't heard anything about the public restroom.
Most important part about
It
it.
really is the most important part about it, and they are pretty amazing, and communities that have them have really raved about. Urban Blue is the company that makes these restrooms. They clean themselves completely after each use. They also will have a bottle filler. So I know that would be huge at the farmer's market. They also give a remote notice to staff that items need to be restocked. There's also provide notice if it is in use for greater than the number of minutes that you think someone should be in there. So maybe if someone is in there for greater than 5 minutes, the police department is provided with a notice to stop by and check what might be going on there. And it also locks automatically at a certain part of the day and then at night, and then reopens itself in the morning, and has sensors to determine, nobody's going to get locked in there. And I'm sure I'm just telling you 8 things about it, and there are 20 other just amazing parts about it.
As you're, sorry.
Yes, Alice.
As you're speaking, I wanted to ask you, Laura, does it have a button, like a safety button, if like you're in danger?
I believe it does, but I will look into that and make sure.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion on that? Let's move along to item 15, discussion, impact of PJM capacity market increase on electric bill. Rahat, it's all you.
Max, are you controlling this?
All yours. Yeah, I'll share that.
A couple of weeks ago at the committee of the whole meeting, we touched base a little bit about the capacity price increases, and council or committee wanted to discuss this a little bit further in details. Go back to the Zoom. I have no control. So that's why we provided this memo to the council to show what's the impact really. I want to draw your attention to the couple of tables that we provided that gives you a snapshot of what is happening with the capacity prices. You can see in 2021, it was about $140 per megawatt day, and then it went down to all the way to $29 in 2024, 2025. The primary reason is in those 4 years, there was a lot of EV, solar adoption, and nuclear power being come online, so that there was more supply. It's supply and demand. There was more supply coming in the market, so the prices were going down. But in last couple of years, seems like a lot of coal power plants are shutting down. There is more demand now also, so supply side is shrinking a little bit, but there is more demand on the data centers that you all hear about. So there is an imbalance of supply and demand, so the price rises at that point. Another thing is happening is the supplier, the energy producer, they were being penalized way more than they were getting money from PJM. PJM being the overall RTO or regional operator. So they were giving them less money, like let's say $30 a megawatt day, but they were charging them like $330 if your energy plant is shutting down. So you are penalized like 10 times more. So the supplier became more cleverer, if you want to say, and they said, you cannot charge me 10 times more than what you're paying me. So it has to be online of what you're going to pay me and what you're going to charge me in case I'm offline. So that's another reason why the prices have gone up too. So there are many factors happening in the market. One is supply-demand imbalance, and then the energy supplier, they're asking for more money to be available when days like today, when you need a lot of energy in the market. So those are the things, and so that's the main reason why capacity prices are going up, and its effect on our bill that we get from PJM is in the next table. You can see that in January of this year, we paid $92,000 to PJM for our capacity charges. It's kind of hovered about $90,000 to $80,000, but now in June, we are projecting it to be $606,000. So you can see that it's going up almost by fivefold, sixfold here, and that's the reason we are in front of you, because we have to recover that cost from our customers, like residential customers and commercial customers, and we have to pass that increased in prices to them. And the vehicle that we have, and it's been there for last 10 years, it's called the PPAF, the Purchase Power Adjustment Factor, which is when the energy prices go up and down like that, that's the PPAF would also adjust. So last 10 years, we were fortunate that the capacity prices didn't go up and down that much. Also, the power plant, Prairie State, I didn't want to say the name, but Prairie State has been actually operating really well. So our energy price is kind of stable for last 10 years, so we didn't have to use that PPAF. But if you look at your energy bill, there is a PPAF that's always there, but it's a constant number for last 10 years. So now we have to start adjusting that number starting in August to account for that $500,000 almost that we have to pay more to PJM. So it's just recovering that cost that we have to pay to the PJM. So it's kind of transparent, but you may get questions from residents or businesses saying why my PPF is higher or why my electric bill is higher by $8 to $10 on an average per month, so that you can explain that this is what is happening. And we feel that it is equitable because you are recovering the cost when you are incurring the cost. So you are recovering the cost at the same time when you are incurring the cost. And what we are doing about it, you took an action today. We are obviously you just open up the solar to everybody. So that will shave some of the loads that we need to purchase from the market. It doesn't happen overnight, but PJM looks at our usage every year, and they tell us how much capacity we have to buy from the market every year. So eventually it will catch up, saying, okay, you guys are using less power, so you have to buy less capacity. That means we have to shell out less money to PJM. We are also exploring ideas with Brattle, who is our actually energy consultant right now, to see what other avenues that we can explore to reduce our peak demand, like battery storage, or do we buy some solar capacity somewhere? So we are going through that. We are very early stage on that. And also our billing department will be keeping some handouts at the billing department or at the counter to tell people what they can do to reduce their energy usage, which again, eventually will help us in buying less capacity when we are in the market in 1 year, 2 years from now. So the projection is the capacity prices will probably stabilize a little bit in next couple of years. Like now that supply demand it's gonna get worked out a little bit. So it's gonna be like around 300, 330, 350 in that range. And then it's supposed to spike again in future in 5 years from now. So I've said enough. Any question?
Excuse me, not so much a question, just observation. I know in my field of work, where energy consumption is a bigger thing because data centers are driving a majority of the excess consumption, to the extent that we have tech companies now who are investing in Illinois nuclear plants, 3 Mile Island, they're activating that again. More importantly, all these generative AI queries that we run, each query uses 15 times the power of a regular Google search query. So as this AI gets more embedded in everything, it's just going to use more and more power. I know we're talking about it all the time at work, and it's now considered a major obstacle. We were fortunate with the prior data centers that we were able to offset with like wind energy or other renewables pretty easily, because the workloads and demands were known. With the AI ramp up, we don't know what the top of the workload looks like yet, quite frankly. And so I think once that happens, we'll be able to normalize consumption and then you'll see the rates come down. But just based on what I'm hearing, I think the convenience that we now have in our lives, we're going to pay for it one way or the other. I think one of the ways is through a power bill. So.
A couple things. First off, it's sort of an unfortunate reality of the world we live in, right? And one thing that I think is worth repeating as often as we can, right now, citizens can go and apply for the green program, have an energy audit, which will hopefully help them save energy, right? It's a thing we're running right now. The bag fee is paying to have an energy audit done for certain folks in the city. So if anybody is watching at home or in the audience there, apply for this program, right? Now's your chance. It's open. Applications are open right now. I noticed in here in the memo, you point out that it's going to go from about $8 to $10 roughly per month. I was looking at my bill, and it looks like right now it's 0.01825, a cent, close to 2 cents. Do we have an idea of kind of what that exact number is going to look like, or are we still up in the air on that?
Looking at Peggy, I didn't calculate what that number.
It will increase 1 penny.
Okay, so kind of double or 50% increase, I guess.
Yeah.
About a 50% increase. Did my math right there. Okay, great, thank you. That's kind of what I was looking for.
I just wanted to mention that the capacity prices, this is happening nationwide right now. And one thing that is unfortunate is right now in the current federal budget is basically gutting a program that's called the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP. And so to the extent that you want to maybe reach out to your federal legislators to say, gosh, at a time when all of this energy is costing more, it seems like a very poor time to be cutting funding for a program that helps low-income individuals meet that basic need.
And I also want to add that we are already working with Lori and Laura to get some PR materials out through Facebook and city website and all that. So, and again, to echo what Laura said, it's happening everywhere. Comet, bill is going up. Anybody in PJM is experiencing this increase in prices.
So, Rajat, thank you very much. It was very informative, your memo. I really appreciate that. Really put it into more layman's terms for me. But as I was reading that, and you've talked about it's a supply and demand, that's kind of been an issue that we've had, is we've had more supply than our demand. Now, I realize we're talking about capacity, but could there be a silver lining here in our situation where, if we did bring our capacity down and there's increasing demand for more and more power, does that provide opportunities for us to get more for that power that we don't use?
So yes, to answer to your question is yes, but that flows through Prairie State and then flows through NIMPA. So we will see a reduction in our energy costs because Prairie State receives the money when they say, I'm available for 55 megawatt all day long, right? So Prairie State receives that money and then it gets calculated into the NIMPA budget. And we see a reduction in our energy cost. But remember, on days like today, we are also buying like 85. And we are not always selling 55 because it's running at like 90%. I send you the monthly report. So it's like running at 88%. So we are like selling 50 megawatt in a day, but we are buying also sometimes 85. But question is, when is your 55 available or 50 available? What time? So there is all that calculations going on behind the scene. But we do see energy cost reduction, but it's not offsetting that reduction, for what we need to buy at the market.
I think more
power different at different times would be helpful.
Right.
Yeah. I think just to pile on what Tony just said, this may be the time to have NIMPA just market directly to some of these tech companies. I mean, they're signing up deals all over the place now.
What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
I'm sorry, to have NIMPA go after the market to the tech companies directly.
So NIMPA is a project-based organization. They aren't a power provider. So their purpose was only to see if those three communities wanted to invest in a generating facility. So they can't market directly to data centers.
So
the individual utilities can do that.
Okay.
So we could do that. Rochelle can do that. Geneva can do that.
That's why if we got a data center here, let's do. I
don't know if anyone's ever said that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's CBOT.
There was discussion about possibilities in the bid.
We're always looking at the possibility.
I would love to explore that. I just, where do you start? But we are set up for it. We're tied into the fiber ring, which ties into CME, which ties into 350, so we're in a good spot for it. And if we have power, that would be amazing. I just don't know who we could kick those off with. Digital Realty, Equinix, it's all sorts of them. But
just to say it, I mean, we've been looking for a big customer for the past 15 years, right? If we're at the point now to where scarcity has gotten so bad, these companies that used to only invest in wind turbines and solar farms are now going in for nuclear plants. I don't think the dirtiness to our power supply, I don't think that's necessarily as much of a concern as it used to be. So maybe it's time
because they'll condition it before it comes in.
Right. So, well, not dirty. I mean, dirty from the source, being carbon-based as opposed to renewable. But maybe now is the time to knock on the doors again and just say, hey, are you interested in
for sure
buying some dedicated power?
Yep.
You're right. We have the infrastructure in place, so anybody can come in and we can give them a lot of power. We have 150 megawatt capacity that Steve is really like, don't want to look at me. But yeah, we have 150 megawatt capacity that we can provide. And we are using mostly on a hot day like that, maybe like 80, 85. So we have extra capacity to give it to somebody.
Yeah, we got server farms all up and down 88 now. I mean, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Rahat. Appreciate the information.
Thank you so much.
Moving on here. Project status, item 16.
Yes, Max has been analyzing the results of the energy survey that was sent out to every household, and over 750 people responded, not only residences, but businesses. And so we will be using the data that we received to be the highlight of a discussion for City Council to use this information to formulate an energy policy for use in creating our integrated resource plan, or at least set a preference for weighing the different criteria. And so we're targeting having a special COW meeting after the July 7th City Council meeting, so that would be the only thing on the agenda, because we anticipated that would probably be a longer discussion. Also, we are preparing for the commercial and industrial electric town hall that will be taking place tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. at a local company offered to host that meeting for us, Veti, who are over in our industrial park. We also are beginning planning for an emergency preparedness mini camp for kids. Beth Drendel from the Kane County Office of Emergency Management has offered to be our presenter. She's an excellent presenter on emergency preparedness. And also Officer Liz Webb and our Officer River will also be in attendance. We're planning that for July 16th, and there's more information to come on that. The event will feature preparedness info and the police and an OEM vehicle and a brief tour of the police department as well. Some metrics that Lori Botterman, our communications manager, provided us with regard to the traffic safety reels that we have posted on Facebook and Instagram have received a record 39,679 views. I think that is more than anything that the city has ever posted on social media. So that appears to be very popular, and hopefully the message is getting across that for all of us to just be aware and realize the impact of your actions and not being a distracted driver, and hearing it from these kids about them getting safely to the places they want to go here in Batavia during the summer, I think has a big impact. In several of our departments, in fact, Public Works, the Fire Department, the Police Department, all participated this past Friday in an event at the Homestead to mark their 50th anniversary. There was a parade throughout their grounds, and they seem to very much appreciate the city departments participating in that with them. The string lights and the trees on River Street have been repaired. And also on South Batavia Avenue, I know people are anxious for all those cones to disappear. They'll be, we expect to fully reopen the road within the next 2 weeks. The police department is going to be attended the Special Olympics Summer Games in Bloomington, Illinois this past weekend. And on Officer Webb and River will also be attending this Wednesday's farmers market. So come out and meet Officer Webb and River. And then also staff had an opportunity, based on a question from City Council, to examine the crash data on Route 31 since we have implemented the road diet. And the data examined pointed to a 26% reduction in traffic crashes since the implementation of the road diet. Now, it's based on a relatively small sample size, and additional data and analysis is necessary in order to, get a comprehensive understanding of our traffic crash data. But certainly, those numbers were very encouraging to hear. And that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
questions? Any other? Next item. Seeing none. Item 18 on the agenda is executive session. I entertain a motion to enter executive session.
So moved.
Baraza. Lancy.
Here.
Beck.
It's aye.
Motion to go. Oh, sorry. Aye.
Malone.
Aye.
Malay.
Here.
Sol-
Aye.
Solpa.
Or nay, don't want to tell you how to vote.
Wolf.
I am here.
Barron. Lehman. Lohman. Pieper. Fehrenbach.
Need my lawyer around
Anderson.
for these formalities.
Volkosinger.